Hello and welcome back to Lorfen Anime Plays Baldur's Gate 3. I'm your host Lorfen. In this Baldur's Gate 3 build video, we're doing a combination of the Paladin Oath of Vengeance and the Bard College of Valour. As always, like, comment, and subscribe to my channel for more Baldur's Gate 3 builds like this. Do not forget hitting that notification bell to be updated much more. Now, with the combined powers of both classes, I'm going to go over the pros and cons. Number one, they're both charisma based, so any dialogues, guess what? You're going to do a great job on that department. Number two, you get some level 0 spells, especially friendship for dialogue, and of course the Blade War if you want to go that way. Another thing is the Paladin spells. You get some good ones, plus some smites as well too in that department. Another thing I'm going to definitely go ahead and mention is yeah, you still be able to be a powerhouse thanks to being a paladin in the melee department. Also, with the bard songs, you'll be able to buff your characters, and you get extra short rest, which helps out greatly. And if you decide to also do the perform thing, yeah, you get to make some money on the side too. Now, disadvantages as follows. You not get the full paladin spells. You're going to miss out on the spells from level 9 to level 12. As for bards, you're going to miss out spells from level 5 and beyond in that department. So let's go ahead and, of course, start first of all with character creation. Let's go over the races, but before we always do that, let's talk about the origin characters. The only one that is really good in this is the Dark Urge. Now, party members you get, if you want to go with this route with the certain party members, is the Drow Paladin, you know, when you get her. Anyways, the races, we're going to go over each of them on my suggestions that you definitely want. If you want to play other races as well, that's a good idea. Up to you on that. The very first race, let's go ahead and select that, is the Elven race. Now, obviously, let me get rid of that. The Elven race, we're going to go ahead and talk about its movement speed. They're 9 meters per turn, pretty good. Elven weapons like long swords, short bows, and long bows. They get dark vision, which means they can see up to 12 meters in the dark. Fey ancestry, you have saving throws against being charmed and cannot be magically put to sleep. You can still use that sleeping potion to help you out. High elves, they get one free level 0 spell. And I'm going to go ahead and make a suggestion right now. If you're going to be playing a high elf with this build, I do suggest friendship. That'll help you out greatly. Let me go ahead and switch to a paladin and make things easier. Yeah, so you switch to friendship for that, so this way you have advantages in conversations. Just be careful on tactician and honor mode. Yeah, people will start suspecting that you're chanting them when you're talking to them. But still, it's good on balanced difficulty. And no, you cannot use this build really on the lowest difficulty because I don't think they allow you multi-class at all. Now, the other races, Wood Elves, they are really good. They add 1.5 movement speed, so you start out with 9 movement speed. With a Wood Elf, that's a total 10.5. So they get more movement in combat. That's really good for a melee class. Next up are the Tieflings. They get 9 meters movement speed, just like the Elves. Second, they get dark vision. They can see up to 12 meters in the dark, which is great. Another thing they get is hellish resistance. So they have resistance to fire damage. They only take half from it, which is good later on. Now, Zariel Tieflings, they start out with an ability that gives you intimidation and performance checks. Great for both classes. Seriously, especially to perform and intimidation on the paladin side. You definitely want this race for that. Now, next up is the human race. Let's go ahead and select that. Humans get 9 meters per turn for movement speed, which is good. Their weapons are basically militia, peasant, and of course guards. Pikes, spears, light armor, etc. Human versatility, they get one skill, definitely one extra proficiency. That's correct, 1. Let me go ahead and demonstrate that right now. So I'm going to go ahead and select the soldier background and go over this skill. We get to add 1. So instead of 4 we get 5 if you're playing a human, which that does come into great play. So for example, we get persuasion, we pick from an insight, and then we have intimidation, athletics. Then you can pick perform or deception. This will help you out definitely leveling up, because when you're a bard, you get to pick another skill. You have 6 instead of 5. Githyanki, underdog race, but they're really good. They get astral knowledge, so they gain proficiency of the skill of the choice of ability, which is good. Now, level 0 spells, they start with mage hands. Eventually, they get Misty Step, which you could teleport to your foes. You get 2 of those, thanks to being a Oath of Vengeance. Their movement speed is 9 meters per turn, which is good. They're also proficient in light and medium armor, short swords, long swords, and great swords. As for dwarves, they get 7.5 movement speed because they're a little bit short, but that's alright. No, that's a dwarf. Anyways, dwarves are combat trained. You have proficiencies in hand axes, basically axes and hammers. Dark vision, they can see up to 12 meters in the dark. Better than a human and get Yankee, I'll tell you that. Dwarven resistance, that you have advantages on save throws against poison and resistance to poison damage, so you take a little bit less on that department. So let's go over the sub-races. There's 2 I'm going to go ahead and suggest for the dwarves. Gold dwarves, so you get 1 extra hit point per level. So this is good though. So if you want more hit points, this dwarven race, I should say, definitely go. Grey dwarves, they get up to 24 meters in the dark, so they get to see a whole bunch of things. As for their resistance, they have resistance against illusions, and of course being charmed or paralyzed. So that's some anti-crowd control stuff there. They also get invisibility later on. Half elves, they get 9 meters per turn. That's both their parents. Now, as for their weapons, they get the human side: pikes, halberds, light armor, shields, and etc. Basically, guards, militia, and peasant weapons. Yeah, I'm going there. Now, they do get the elven side of that, which is see in the dark up to 12 meters, just like their elven side. And just like their elven side as well, they also get resistance, just like before, against being charmed, cannot be magically put to sleep. You can still use that sleeping potion to regenerate those spells. And if you pick the half high elf, you get level 0 spells. If you're going that route, pick friendship. Gives you advantages on talking. Just be careful on, like I said before, on tactician and on difficulty. What else? They get movement speed of 1.5 meters, which is pretty good. Again, just like their regular wood elves. Now, let's go to the next race. Let's see here. The half-orc, they get 9 meters per turn, which is good. They also get dark vision as well. They can see in the dark up to 12 meters, which is great. Again, you want that advantage as well for anything dark, especially in the Underdark in Act 1. Helps you out greatly. I'm just saying. Relentless endurance, if you get knocked down, instead of 0 hit points, you get 1 hit point. Again, it's on a cooldown, but it's very good. Now, this is the best one of the half-orc race. And there we go. Savage attacks. When you land a critical hit with a melee weapon, you deal an extra dice of weapon damage, which is great. That is about it for races. So I'm going to go ahead and talk about the oaths. Since you're playing a paladin, you're going to have to follow some oaths. So I'm going to go ahead and select some races. So the oaths as follows. We'll get to that in a few moments. I just want to make sure everything's all right. And yeah, okay. So the oath as follows. You fight against evil, so you cannot spare anyone at all. That's very important. Another thing is you're doing things for the greater good. That's another thing as well. And also you gain Inquisitor's Might. So you or your allies get an additional 2 radiant damage. See, it says fight the greater evil. Don't let evil get away. No mercy for the wicked. Think of Cobra Kai against bad guys. No mercy. That's right. So let's go ahead to the next one. Now for backgrounds, I picked 3 backgrounds to choose from. Now entertainer, that is performance, and of course acrobats. I like the performance side. Noble is good as well, which is history and persuasion, mainly persuasion. But soldier is the best. You get athletics and intimidation. So we'll go ahead and pick that one. Now for ability points as follows. I'm going to go ahead and say this now. When we level up, we're going to put 2 points into strength and 2 points into charisma. We'll split those up. I'll give my reasonings, but still, we're going to keep strength at 16. Dexterity, unfortunately, will be at 10. And if I remember right, I think Constitution will be at 14. I'll get to that in a few moments. Intelligence, unfortunately, here's the bad news about that. That's going to be our weak spot for our characters. So it'll be at 8. Wisdom at 10. You want to keep that at 10, so this way there's some story stuff that you will require wisdom on that. Charisma we'll put at 16. Again, we'll use that to take advantage on the talking skills and such. So here's the review. Strength and charisma at 16. Dexterity and wisdom at 10. Constitution 12. And of course, last but not least, intelligence at 8. So those are your skills. My reason with strength is we're frontline fires, and charisma we're going to be talking quite a bit to get things going our way. with, of course, the help of the dice, of course, on those modifiers. Next up, we're going to go ahead and talk about are the skills. So here's the deal on the skills. Since we're soldiers, we have athletics and intimidation. That's what we want. We're going to get insight to help us out on spotting evil. But persuade, that's going to be our main bread and butter skill. Now, if you're a human, pick performance as your 5th one. Otherwise, you could also do deception as well if you are doing that route for the human. Otherwise, just pick the 4 I shown below. Let's go ahead and level up. Hey, it's time to level up our character. Please note that if you're playing on anything lower than balance, you're probably not going to be able to cross-class. So let's go ahead and level up our Paladin first. So let's go select the Great Weapon Fighting. So anytime you roll 1 or 2, you get to re-roll again. This is going to be our bread and butter for this build for the weapon department. Yeah, we're going to be hitting like a Mack truck. Also, we get to buff others up as well. So we're inspiring people. So I'm going to go over each of every one of the Paladin spells. I'll also do the same for the Bard as well, for those who are new here. I'm going to give my thoughts about some of these as well. Protection from evil and good. Protects the ally against attacks. And, of course, powers of falling, which is aberration, celestials, elementals, fae, fiends, and undead. So the target cannot be charmed, frightened, or possessed by them. Also, any creatures that attack you with this buff will have a disadvantage. This lasts until a long rest. Shield of Fate, this gives you armor class by 2. There's better ways to increase armor class, so I pass on that one. Command, this is a good one. Creature, you use this on fleas, move closer, drop their weapons on the ground, or just stop. Compelling Duel, this is basically taunt, so you get a foe to force to fight you. They get disadvantage against you. Great to have for this oath. Now, bless, you can bless up to 3 creatures. They gain 1d4 bonus to attack rolls and saving throws, which is nice. Heroism, yourself or a target will be immune to being frightened, which is great. Also gain 5 hit points temporarily. And you can only have one set of temporary hit points per source. Cure Wounds, you heal close range 4 to 11 hit points. Not bad. Searing Smite, this is like weapon damage plus 1d6 in fire damage. And if your foe's on fire, they take 1 to 6 fire damage every turn for 10 turns. Very powerful smite. Now, Tieflings get that as well, a nice version of that. Thunderous Smite, you get weapon damage plus you do 2d6 thunder damage. You push foes back. You also can make them prone as well. This can knock them off cliffs. You lose loot, but you survive. Divine Favor, your weapon attack deals an additional 1 to 4 radiant damage, which is nice. Wrathful Smite, this does weapon damage plus 1d6 psychotic damage. Possibly frightens your target, which is great. So I definitely would suggest the smites. So this way you have 3 to choose from. 1 to frighten, 1 to force back, and 1 to put them on fire. And there's your regular smites as well you get as a paladin. And that does go up with certain levels. So let's select that. I'm going to go ahead and select, let's see here, the Divine Favor. That's a good one. And I'm going to select is, where is it at? I'm trying to find it. Yeah, there is a Compelling Duel. So this way we force them to attack us and we get advantage against them as well. Now, ding, level 3, everyone. So we're still leveling up on the Paladin. So we get ourselves, let's see here, level spell slots. Divine Health, so we're immune to diseases that affect you, which is good. So that's where over the Vengeance, we get Abjure Enemies, Frightened Enemy. They have disadvantage against you in combat, which is ability checks and attack rolls. Fiend and Undead automatically get a disadvantage on that when you use it against them. You'll saw at the beginning when I abused that. A good idea for Oath of Vengeance to do that. Vow of Enmity, gain advantages on attack rolls against an enemy. So you want advantages against a foe you want to face, pop that sucker. Now, Oath of Vengeance spells, they're permanently in your spell book, so you don't have to select them in and out. They're automatically there. So first spell is Bane, opposite of Bless. They take a 1d4 penalty to attack rolls and saving throws up to 3 foes, which is good. Now, Hunter's Mark, this is great. So you mark your foes, you do an extra 1 to 6 damage. If they die, you get to cast it again with no spell slot used. Wonderful to have, wonderful to abuse, great against bosses. You could take them out that way. And if you're playing a tiefling like I am, for example, you get Searing Smite. Otherwise, you don't. Just show you racial ones. I'm going to go ahead and keep command there. So this way I tell our foes at level 3 to stop it, drop and roll, or run away. Now we're at level 4. So every level of 4, we get ourselves a feat to pick from. That's normal for most of the classes. Some get extra feats. I'm just saying. So let's go over this right now at this time. We get ourselves layer hand charges, just like normal paladins do. I'm going to go ahead and suggest, let's see here, I think protection from evil is good. I'm going to say is bless is good as well, and heroism. Again, you could change them in and out depending on which situation you're in. You're a paladin. This is the good news. Wait till we get to the bard, the bad news. Now, there's 2 feats I like to choose early on. We can only select one. Some people like Savage Attacker because if you, when you make a critical hit, you get some extra damage going. I like this one better because, first of all, when you land a critical hit or kill a target, you can make another melee attack as a bonus action. So that's like 2 attacks per round. So you kill one foe or do a critical hit, you attack them again. Unfortunately, it disadvantages your melee attack rolls is -5. There's certain items that'll help you negate that penalty. So early on it'll hurt, but later on it won't matter. Now, as for melee bonus damage, you get +10. So the attack rolls you suffer, but damage gets increased. It's a change off, but it's great. If you know which items to get, it'll help you out greatly on that. So let's level up again. Now, next up the bat is level 5. So we're going to go ahead and get the other 4 levels for the Paladin. First of all, we get an extra attack. So instead of 1 attacks, we get 2. So that's why I want to start the Paladin first because of that. Now, we're going to go ahead and go over the level 2 spells. I'm going to go ahead and speak of them as follows. This is for people who are new here or want a refresher course. Aid heals your allies, and you get 5 extra hit points, just like temporary hit points. Lasts until a long rest. Now here's another one I really do love next. This is a great one, Branding Smite. Weapon damage plus 2d6 radiant damage, and it marks your foes who likes to go invisible, and they cannot turn invisible. Yeah, like those sneaky rogues. Anti-rogue smite. Lesser restoration, it cures the following: disease, poisons, paralysis, and blindness, which is helpful at times. Magic weapon. Imbues a weapon with arcane energies. You get +1 to attack and damage rolls, which is good. So a mundane weapon you could enchant on. Another thing, this is good, protection from poison. This will neutralize all poisons on a creature and also protects creatures against being poisoned. Gain advantages in saving throws against being poisoned and resistance to poison damage. So this is a nice protection spell to have. Now, oath spells. This is exclusive. Hold person when you hold a humanoid enemy. They cannot move or attack at all. All attacks from within when foes are being held, or say in case of person, they always hit a critical hit. Liza could do critical hits against foes like that. Mincy stuff's like teleportation spell. You see a runner, teleport near them, then beat the living crap out of them. And there's your racial abilities in case I'm a tiefling, and there's smite. I'm going to go ahead and put that branding smite there, and I'm going to say is most likely I'll probably keep that restoration, or if I need to, protection from poison or a magic weapon. Now, a lot of good options out there. Ding! Level 6, everyone. So we're doing it once again. Now we get ourselves an Aurora Protection. Gives you plus advantages on saving throws. I think it's a charisma modifier applies. Really helpful. This is the only protection Aurora you get, unfortunately, with this build. So it's not a pure class. I'm going to go ahead and select that, and that's about it. Now, level 7. So we're getting closer to ending the Paladin class. So we get ourselves an extra spell slot unlocked. Relentless Adventure. So when enemies try to go past you, you get opportunities to attack against them, and your movement speed increases by 4.5 meters. They try to run away, you can close in on them and beat the living crap out of them. That's what it's all about. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that and select, see what else I'm going to select. Protection from good and evil. I'm going to say blessed for now. Again, you can change your spells in and out for the paladins, which is good. And there we go. So we're at level 8. This last time you'll be a paladin, folks. So first of all, every level's a 4. You get feats. And there's your spells. So select any one you want. I'm going to go ahead and select, let's see here, that one. As for feats, we're going to start with ability improvements for paladins. Level we're going to do is 2 points in their strength. We're going to also get the strength potion. I'll put it at 20. As for charisma, when we do it later on again at 12, we'll get that to 20 with a mirror. But for now, we're at level 9. Dang, level 9. So let's go ahead and do a few things first. Let's multi-class. So we're going to switch to a bard. And we get a few things. We get our level 0 spells. We get the ability to use to, of course, buff our allies, inspire them. Also, we get regular spells. Now, bard spells, you cannot switch in and out. So you have to switch them in and out when you level up. So be careful on that. So level 0 spells, if you did not pick Friendship, that's alright. But let's go over Vicious Mockery. It does 2 to 8 damage. It gives them disadvantages in combat. Blade Ward. The person who gets this cast upon only takes half in blunt, piercing, and slash damage. Melee damage, basically. Mage Hand's used to reach to get things that are normally out of reach or pull corpses close to you. True Strike's okay, gives you advantages on attacks, that's fine, but I pass on that. This is great Friendship because you use this advantages on charisma checks, which is helpful, especially talking. Just be careful on higher difficulty because they could accuse you of being an enchanter. Dancing Light makes light, that's okay, there's better ways to make light. Light spell, again, this infuse an object with light. You use Shadow Heart for that. Minor Illusions, it makes illusion, is alright, but there's better level 0 spells out there. Friendship, I should say, is in the Vicious Mockery you should do. Let's go over the, you guessed the bard spells as well. Animal Friendship, this will get a creature to not attack you. This is alright early on, but there's better spells out there. Charm Person, this will do is have the person charm won't attack you at all, or you can use this in dialogue. Just be careful, you might be accused of being an enchanter. I'd say use Friendship, that's the best way to go with that. Or if you have a high enough charisma, then yeah, you don't need those spells at all. Just use Shadow Heart's Guidance or Cleric's Guidance. Cure Wounds is like the Paladin version, but the Paladin version is much better. Disguise Self magically change you into a different appearance in case you want to get out of trouble. Dissonant Whispers, this does 3-8 damage. Also frightens a target creature. This is pretty good. Gives them disadvantages well against you. Fairy Fire, this will basically expose anyone who's stealthy. Feather Fall, this will give immunity to falling damage, but there's potions out there that's better. Healing Word, this is like a range AoE healing spell 4-7, but it's good. Heroism, just like the Paladin one, I pass on that. Long Stride, your movement speed increases by 3 meters. For Path of, I think, Oath of Vengeance, that's great. Sleep, put up to 24 hit die foes, 24 hit point foes to sleep, which is not bad. Speak with animals, go with the potion, don't go with the spell. Now, this will make a creature prone with laughter for 10 turns. So they have to keep on making intelligent check rolls in order to get out of that. It's a good crowd control spell. Thunder Wave, this is nicely used to push foes back. They take thunder damage. Good idea to use against anyone that's near a wizard or a cleric that way. So let's select our bar spells. I decided to select the Long Stride, the healing one that's range. Fairy Fire, I like that one. This way I can expose stealthers if they're giving me problems. And the laughing spell, this way I have some form of crowd control. I used that actually once or twice later on. Instruments, pick any that's your favorite. I select the violin, that's good enough. Now you could do either Deception or another one's good is Performance. One or the other if you want to pick on that. That's about it for this level, so let's go ahead and level up to the next one. Ding, level 10. So we're Path of the Bard from now on, 4 levels of the Bard. So first of all, we get a nice song that will help us out greatly with rest. Also, Jack of Trade. So if we're not proficient with stuff, we still give ourselves like a little advantage in certain checks and such. Yeah, and there's the Song of Rest there. That's like a short rest. So instead of 2, we get 3 now. Which is great though in case we want to just keep on going and not waste a long rest. Now we get another spell. I'm going to probably say is Thunder Wave, so this way you can push certain foes back. That's one that's good. Dissonance Whisper is another one that's great as well. You can replace your spells when you level up. Also, if you say Withers in Act 1 or find them in Act 1, it can help you out greatly for respecting your character as well. But I like this one better out of the 2. So yeah, Distance Whispers frightens the target. Always helps out on that department. And yeah, so you can change your spells in and out for a bard. Dang, level 11. We're getting closer to the cap. Yeah, in Baldur's Gate 3, level 12 is the cap. Now we get to select our subclass. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to go ahead and select, you guessed it, College of Valour. So Combat Inspiration. Now we get to increase our allies' attack rolls, ability checks, and saving throws, weapon damage, or armor class. That's 1d6 bonus on the dice. Really useful in combat, and be blunt. We get to learn ourselves a new spell, level 2 spell, so I'm going to go over many of these. Blindness, when you cast this on a creature, their attack rolls against you is a disadvantage while you have advantage against them. Calm Motions, this basically makes sure target cannot be charmed, frightened, or use rage, which is good. Cloud Daggers, like little daggers come and attack you, it's alright. Crown of Madness, this madness deals on a humanoid creature attack another, which is alright for crowd control. Detect Thoughts, pass, there's potions for that. Enhance ability, this is really good, so it gives you advantage on ability checks of your choice. Enthrall, this is not bad. A creature hit with this has their vision dampened, which is alright. When heat metal, so it forces foe drop their metal weapons and armor, which is good, and they take damage as well if they don't. Invisibility, just like the visibility spell, potions out there are better. Knock spell, if you're having issues with doors, this is the spell to use. Pass on list of restoration because you're a paladin on that department. Phantasmal Force, it does 1d6 psychotic damage, and it can do other things as well. See Invisible, go for the potion version of that. Shatter, this is pretty good, damage all nearby creatures. Creatures made of integrated materials have automatic disadvantage against this spell. Save throws take half. And their silence is alright if you are having issues with spellcasters, use that as well. I'm probably say enhance ability or shatter is the way to go for that. So I'm using enhance ability, so this way I can take the advantage of that in dialogue talk. So let's select that. Again, you get to replace your spells in this level if you need to as well. So let's select that one. There we go. And I'm just locking in. And make sure you pick the Collars of Valor. Dang, level 12. This is your last level of the game. So everything's going great for you. And we get ourselves another level 0 spell and one more spell to pick and a feat for every level of fort because of that. Now I'm going to go ahead and select the Blade Ward. I like that, so I cast that myself. I should say before combat, have nice protection at start of battle. I'm going to go ahead and pick Shatter. That's a good spell to use for level 12. All foes around, they take some damage from that thunder damage, which is nice. And last time, replace your spells if you need to. As for feats, we're going to do ability improvement. Last time we did strength, now we do is charisma. So let's go ahead and select that. And there you go. So that's why I picked charisma. So first of all, at 8 you pick strength. 12 now you pick charisma. And that's about does it for leveling up. So our next part of this build video, we're doing is permanent ability score boosts. Let's go over permanent ability score boosts. In Baldur's Gate 3, there are ways to boost up your ability scores. There's one in each act. So let's go with Act 1. In Act 1, when you fight Auntie Ethel, you get her down to 10 hit points or lower. She'll grovel for her life with a few of some of the charisma checks, I believe. You get a +1 ability score item of your choice. Make sure you're not the one accepting the deal, because if you're Oath of Vengeance, you cannot, of course, spare Auntie Ethel. Bad idea. As someone like, for example, Lizel or Barriette will. So if Will's near Auntie Ethel, and of course drops her down to close to under 10 hit points or exactly under 10 hit points, he's the candidate. Now in Act 2, you got to make sure you have a Asteron with you for this. Also, Asteron must be with you alive and well. So with Asteron, have him by Araja, that is the drow in the Moonrise Towers. You know her because she sells some nice potions and some of the best jewelry in the entire game. Now, if Asteron bites her, she'll pony you up that +2 strength potion. For this build, you're going to need that strength potion. It'll help you out greatly. And in fact, it depends on that. Now, last but not least, in Act 3, the Mirror Loss. There are 3 possible outcomes in this. So if you get really lucky with the hidden charisma check, you get +1 charisma, which is great for you, and +2 stat of your choice. Now, of course, you supposedly lose -2 in a stat, but that is cured by, you guessed it, remove curse. Second choice is you get +2 stat of your choice. If you don't pass any other checks, you get nothing. And yeah, we'll go over the Mirror Loss in a bit. And that's about it for the permanent ability score boosters, so let's go over the before and after. Here is the before permanent stat boosters, aka ability scores. Strength at 18, Dexterity 10, Constitution 14, Intelligence 8, Wisdom 10, and Charisma 18. This is as if you just level to 12 without doing any of this. Now here's after if you do everything like that. Strength 20, Dexterity 10, Constitution 14, Intelligence 8, Wisdom 10, Charisma 20. Now 22, if the Mirror Loss, you get real lucky on, that +1 Charisma, and also have someone else got the +1 Charisma item for you, so you could use it to get that to 22 Charisma. That's about it for this section. Let's go over the Strength Potion. Now, this is the Drow NPC in Act 2 that Asteron needs to bite. So, when she gets bitten by Asteron, she really loves it. You have to convince Asteron, yeah, you have to do this for you. It'll be a little bit of a disapproval from him, but great news is this, everyone. You get a +2 Strength Potion out of it, and besides, you also get a racial potion as well, depending on your race. Tieflings, I get a nice one with Hellish Rebuke. but there's a downside to those potions. The strength potion, there is no downside at all. This is very important. You want to definitely do this in Act 2. So this way it'll help you out on your build greatly. I'm going to go ahead and try to get out this dialogue and then show you the results. My Paladin is going to be the one demonstrating those results, of course. So let's go ahead and talk about that. My Paladin's at 18 strength. Yeah, I just level up to 8. And with that potion, we'll go ahead and use it. And that potion is calling me. Make sure I get that there. Potion of Everlasting Vigor. So, yep, there's 18 strength. We're going to go ahead and use that potion and demonstrate from 18 to 20. For melee builds like this, you really want this. So let's go ahead and do that. And there you go, 20 strength. So let's go over the Mirror of Loss, shall we? The Mirror of Loss, you need to pass some intelligence checks. Some people respect their characters for that. You cannot be using deception for that. If you use any form of deception during that process, yeah, the Mirror of Loss will say, no, you're not going to get the bonus. You'll just get the loss. The loss you could definitely go ahead and cure. I'm going to go over each of the ones. So here we go. Number 1 is strength. You get +2 strength. Number 2 is, you guessed it, is dexterity. So you get +2 dexterity. Number 3 is fortitude, which is +2 charisma. Number 4 is knowledge from books. It says that's +2 intelligence. Number 5 is wisdom, +2 wisdom. And number 6 is +2 charisma. Now, for this build, you want the +2 charisma. Now, if you get real lucky, you get 3 charisma out of this. And that is totally well worth it. Now, great news as before, you could cure the losses after you lose a stat. For the losses, definitely go for something like, for example, dexterity or, I say, constitution. That's about it for the Mirror Loss. So let's move on to Tadpole Powers. I'm going to go ahead and go over the Tadpole Powers. I split into 2 categories before and after using the Astral Touch Tadpole. So anyways, before we go start the Tadpole Powers, welcome to the dark side of Baldur's Gate 3. Well, not really, so let's go over before first. The first one up to bat is Favorable Beginnings. So here's the deal about that one. Boosts attack rolls or give you advantage in dialogues. For both these classes, really useful. Paladin side, attack rolls helps you out greatly. Both classes actually, dialogue helps out as well. Call of the Week. When a creature has few hit points less than your number of Tadpole Powers, it dies instantly. So for example, you have about 9 Tadpole Powers. The creature has about 8 hit points. Dies instantly. That's it. Game over from. Psionic Backlash. When a foe casts a spell, you do 1d4 damage per caster level. This is real powerful against casters. I used this a few times and yeah, turned the tide for me my way. Force Tunnel, charge forward and draws no attacks when you do this. Again, you see a runner, pop this sucker, charge him. Good times roll. Drain ability, attack can either drain strength if it's melee or dexterity range. Also, I believe it also affects spells as well. In this case, they get charisma drain as well too. Now let's go talk about when you use the Astral Touch Tadpole. The first Tadpole Power is Black Hole. This is a really powerful AoE attack. It is so OP. I use this, I say definitely endgame, and let me tell you, it cleans up the area well. Now next up is Fly. Gain ability to fly just like the Fly spell. You see a runner, pop that fly towards them, and then you can just abuse them afterwards. Repulsor, AoE pushback, damage. If you have like so many foes surround you, and you try and get to a runner, you push the others back, then you go towards that runner. Free cast, next ability, spells or anything else is free of charge to use. So if you don't want to use a spell slot for smiting a foe, pop this sucker, then smite away. That's about it for Tadpole Powers. For the next part of this build video, I'm going to go talk about Gear Advice. I have split up the gear into 2 categories by the end of Act 1 before going to Shadow Cursed Lands, and of course endgame gear, aka Act 2 and 3. So if I say get an item in a certain location in a certain act, make sure you do so. So let's go ahead and start with Act 1. Just remember to get the following items. I'm going to go ahead and list it in Act 1 before going to Shadow Cursed Lands. Final reminder on that. First of all, headgear. Grim Skull Helm. Attacker cannot land critical hits against you. Gain in fire resistance as well. Gain use of Hunter's Mark, just like the Oath of Vengeance spell, which is nice. Grim drops this at the Adamantite Forge in the Underdark Part 2 in Act 1. Yeah, make sure you do the Forge part before getting this. Here's a good alternative. The Haste Helm gains momentum for 3 rounds, so that's like movement speed. So you gain about, well, believe it's about 1.5 movement speed or so, which is nice. This is in a locked chest in a Blighted Village in Act 1 where the goblins are at. So get that. Another good alternative is Helm of Smiting. When you use Smite, you gain hit points equal to your Charisma modifier. So if your Charisma modifier, for example, is 4, you get plus 4 hit points. This also gives you plus 1 Constitution saving throws. This is in the chest in the Saloon-Tite Outpost in Underdark Act 1. That's the one with the big statue that's been fending off foes like the Minotaurs. Yeah, when you arrive in the Underdark in that area, you get that. Let's move on to the next set of equipment. Here are the chest pieces you want to get in Act 1. Adamantite Splint Armor reduces damage by 2. When your foes hit you, they get -1 attack for 3 rounds, which is really useful. Cannot be critical hit upon, just like the Grim Skull Helmet as well. Now, this is in Adamantite Forge Underdark Part 2 in Act 1. So you have to get the Mithril or the Splint Armor mold. Go get past Grim, and then after that, craft the sucker, and boom, there's your armor there. If you don't want to really do all that, sell for a chainmail +1 or full plate armor. It's in many places. Many foes drop this as well. Also, some sold there. Now let's go over the gloves. Gloves of Dexterity. Dexterity set to 18, and you get a +1 to attack. Now, this is in the Mountain Path at the Githyanki Creche. Merchant Jira sells this in Act 1, among other things, so buy before attacking her. She has some real good stuff there. Here's alternative gloves. Gloves of the Groveling Underdog. 2 or more foes who surround you, you get advantage on melee attacks. You also get +1 strength saving throw. Dozor Razglin, treasure crates in the Shatter Sanctum in Act 1 has this. To beat the big fella, get the key to open up the treasure room and then collect these gloves. Let's move on to the next set of equipment. Next up are the boots. Boots of speed. When you use your movement speed, is double for 1 round. So, for example, you're a Wood Elf Paladin. You have that 10.5 movement speed. Now, that doubles, so it's about 21 movement speed for 1 round. Great against runners. Thula has this item in Act 1 Underdark. So, either kill her for it, do a request, or con her into giving up the item for you. Here's alternative boots of Genial Striding. The wearer's movement speed is unimpeded by difficult terrain. So in other words, you're immune to difficult terrain with these boots. Blurk sells this in the Underdark in Act 1. Blurk sells a whole bunch of things in the Underdark Act 1 too. Clean out his inventory as well. Next up, cloaks. Sorry, there's none for Act 1. Just want to tell you. Necklaces, amulet of branding. Foes get hit with branding spell, takes double damage in melee. So this is great for melee users. Use the amulet's powers, boom, they get hit. Great against bosses. This is at the Githyanki Creche in the Mountain Pass. The same merchant that sells those nice dexterity gloves will drop this as well. If you could buy it from her, that's fine. Here's alternative Amulet of Restoration. Game use of Mass Healing Word and Healing Word. Deirdre's Bone Cloak sells this in the Mitochondric Colony Underdark in Act 1. Same place where Thurla and Berg was at. In fact, buy some stuff from her too. She has some good alchemy items as well. Let's move on to the next set of equipment. Here are the rings. I decided to go for 4. Crusher Band. Movement speed is +3 meters. You can steal or loot Crusher to get this very nice ring. This ring is very useful. So adds movement speed. So if you're going to go after runners, this is a great item to have. Caustic Band. You deal +2 acid damage to foes. Really useful early on. Deirdre Bone Cloak sells this at the Mitochondric Colony Underdark in Act 1. Told you to clean out her inventory. This is one of them. Here's an alternative. I say rings. Ring of Absolute Force. Use a Thunderwave spell. If you get Absolute Branded, you deal 1 extra damage. So it's a Thunderwave +1 if you get Branded. If you don't want to go that route, it's like a normal Thunderwave spell. Sergeant Thrin in the Grimforge Act 1 has this. Most likely a drop. The Sparks Wall cannot be electrocuted. Electric resistance increases. Arcane Tower Basement Underdark in Act 1. Clean out that tower. It has some great items there. Let's move on to the weapons. Let's go over the weapons, shall we? Sussor Great Sword. This is +1 Great Sword. Silences target on hit. Really useful against spellcasters. Finish the quest called Finish the Masterwork Weapon side quest by getting the Suster Bark and the Plain Great Sword, and combine them at the Forge in the Blighted Village in Act 1 to get this. Very nice sword to have. I advise definitely making this weapon. Here's good alternatives. Sword of Justice. This is also a +1 great sword. You get Tears Protection, so a person with this buff gets +2 armor class. Ends when you remove the sword. Anders in the Risen Road Toll House drops this, so if you want to kill Anders for it, be my guest. Honorable mention, I'm going to list this here. Everburn Blade is good to have. This is not a magical weapon, but it does add fire damage to your weapon. Now, this is dropped by Commander Zalk in the prologue. Not easy to kill pull off, especially on, if I remember correctly, Tactician and Honor mode, if you can go that route. So let's get to the ranged weapons. Let's go over this first ranged weapon, Titan String Bow. This is a +1 longbow. This longbow does damage equal to your strength mod. So that's the normal longbow damage +1. Then you add another plus on it. So if your strength mod is +2, you add +2 to it. If your strength mod is +5, you add +5 to it. Brim in the Zent's hideout sells this in Act 1 after helping out the Zents on their quest. So when you destroy the gnolls, what happens is you talk to the Zents. They give you access to the hideout by giving you the password and such. And boom, you get the access to the merchant who sells this. Here's another good bow as well. Giant Breaker is a +1 heavy crossbow. Foes get a -1 attack for 2 rounds when hit. Same person who sells the previous bow above sells this also at the Zent's hideout. You know the drill on that. Bow of the Banshee. This is +1 short bow on hit, possibly inflicts frighten. So when the target is frightened, you get extra 1d4 damage against frightened targets. Nice bonus. Kalsar Greymorn in the Grey Forge sells this, or if you decide to get Murderous, you can kill him for it. That's about it for gear advice you get by the end of Act 1. Next up is Endgame Gear. Once again, about Act 2 and 3. So if you're in an area in Act 2 or Act 3, make sure you stay in that area until you get said item. So let's start out with the helmets. Now, Helmet Valerian, this heals you 2 hit points per round, +1 armor class, and saving throws. Cannot be stunned, cannot be critical hit upon. Defeat the Wormway Trials, and the boss will allow you to have access to this item. So, yeah, you know when you get it in Act 3. Now, alternatives, Helldusk Helm can see through normal and magical darkness, cannot be blind at all, +2 saving throws against spells, whereas immune to critical hits as well. House of Hope in a locked room in Act 3, so make sure you get that room unlocked. If not, you'll lose access to this item. Seravox Horn Helmet, gain or increase vision, big time. So yeah, it's like dark vision, but much more better. Number of critical hits roll drops by 1, so instead of your normal 20, it's now 19 to 20 for you to get a critical hit. Cannot be frightened at all. Constitution save +1. You know who drops this at the Murder Tribunal in Act 3. So let's move on to the next set of equipment. Let's go over the chest pieces. Helldusk Armor can use heavy armor when you wear this, even if you're not proficient in it. When a caster spell hits you and you make a save throw, caster takes burning damage. You're also immune to burning damage as well. Resistance to fire, which is good. It takes 3 less damage from all types of sources. Raphael drops this in Act 3. You know when you see him there. Alternatives, armor persistence, damage reduction by 2, gain resistance, and blade ward at the same time, just like the spell in both of them. Damien sells this in Act 3 in the lower city. If he's alive. If not, you're not going to have access to the armor. Then sell for any of the previous armors you did get in the previous acts. Gloves, Gauntlet of Healed Giant Strength, +1 strength saving throws. Your strength is automatically set to 23. Archives at the House of Hope in Act 3. Get this gloves. They're the best for a build like this. And in case you're not able to get it yet, or you're skipping the House of Hope, bad mistake by the way, Legacy of the Masters, +2 attack and damage rolls with weapons. Now remember that -5 on attack? Well, guess what? That gets dropped down to -3 thanks to this sucker. Also +1 strength saving throws as well. Damien sells this in Act 3 Lower City. If you didn't save Damien or you slaughtered him somewhere in Act 1, you're not going to get this item to buy. Let's move on to the next set of equipment. Hellduck's boots cannot be moved by magical means at all or normal means. Immune to difficult terrain. When you fail a saving throw, you could use your reaction to succeed instead. So you mess up a saving throw, you hit that reaction button, and you try again. Teleports to an area. When you do teleport, when you land, aka the foes around it takes 2 to 16 damage. Also innocent peasants as well if you're not careful. This is in Lord Gortash's room in Act 3, so you have to somehow steal the key from him in order to get this. Boots of Persistence gain freedom of movement and long stride. Just like the spell, +1 dex saving throws. Damien sells this in Act 3. Again, Damien's not alive thanks to you going murderous on him in Act 1 or so. Well, guess what? You're not going to have access to the boots. Necklaces, Amulet of Greater Health. Constitution's automatically set to 23. Advantages on Constitution saving throw. More Constitution, more hit points. This is great. In the archives at the House of Hope in Act 3. Yeah, get the gauntlets there and definitely get that. Here's a good alternative. Surgeon Subjugation Amulet. When scoring a critical hit on a humanoid, the wearer can paralyze the target for 2 rounds. This is good though. Really useful. Malice Storm drops this at the House of Healing in Act 2. Almost said Hope, but it's a House of Healing. Now, you can use Shadowheart in order to get Malice Storm to kill himself. Then after he does that, what happens is you have access to get this item without fighting him. It's a good tactic. If not, you can fight him for it, and it still drops. Let's move on. Let's go over the cloaks. Yes, now you can finally get some cloaks. Flesh Melter Cloak. When the wearer gets hit, the attacker takes 1 to 4 acid damage. Gilded Chest in the House of Healing Morgue in Act 2. So do not leave Act 2 without this very fine cloak. Here's a good alternative. Cinder Moth Cloak. Attacker takes burn damage, which is 1 to 4 fire damage per round. It's like the acid one, instead it's fire. Alice Cyrus's in the Lower Sea series in Act 3 drops this. Tick him off, get into combat with him and a whole bunch of slimes and such, then kill him for it. Let's move on to the next one. Rings. I'm going to go ahead and list 4 rings in all. Killer Sweetheart. When you kill a creature, your next attack roll will be an automatically critical hit. Unless foes are immune to critical hits, but still, it's a great ring. Self-same trial in the Gauntlet Shard in Act 2. So kill your doppelganger, loot the body up before getting the Umbral Orb there. So yeah, remember that. Loot the body of your carbon copy to get this. Best ring in the game. Ring of Regeneration. At the start of combat, you regenerate 1 to 4 hit points. Roland or someone else in the Sorcerer's Sundries in Act 3 sells this. So even if Roland buys the farm in Act 1 or 2, someone else there will automatically sell this to you. Ring of Free Action. Here's some good alternatives. This is one of them. You ignore the effects of difficult terrain, cannot be paralyzed or restrained. Adra's Strength Potion NPC sells this in Act 2 at the Moonrise Towers. She has the best, you guessed it, jewelry in the entire game. Clean out her inventory big time before starting some serious trouble. Risky Ring. Gain advantages on attack rolls and disadvantages on saves. This is the ring that will replace the -5, even things out. So you definitely want this if you have issues, of course, with your attack rolls. The same NPC that gives you the Strength Potion sells this in Act 2 and at the Moonrise Towers. Again, clean out her inventory. She has some great rings there. Let's move on to the weapons. Next up are the weapons. This is the real reason why you're here for this build, to get the best weapons in the game. Balrinian's Giant Slayer on hit, double your strength mod. So your strength mod's 5, for example. When you hit a foe, your strength mod's now 10. Advantages on creatures large and above. So you're facing a giant. Well, guess what? You get to do extra damage against them. +3 Greatsword. So that's a great news indeed. Giant form is when you do 1d6 extra damage. You have 27 hit points and your saving throws advantages increases. Drop fighter boss of the Wormway Trials in Act 3. You know which boss it is. I'm not going to say who. Sword of Chaos is a good alternative. On hit, you regenerate 1 to 6 hit points, +2 Greatsword. Looted from you-know-who in the Murder Tribunal in Act 3. Let's move on to the ranged weapons. Now let's talk about the ranged weapons. Darkfire Shortbow, +2 Shortbow. Gain resistance to fire and ice. Can cast haste just like the spell itself. There's a drawback after the haste effect wears off, but still, free haste. Damien sells this in Act 2. If lucky, he'll be having it there to sell in Act 3 as well. Here's an alternative. Fabricated Avalice. So +2 heavy crossbow, illuminating shot, fires a shimmering bolt that inflicts in one term of radiant orbs upon the target. This deals 1d4 damage piercing. Dazzling Ray, unleash a beam of brilliant light that blinds all creatures in its path until the spell ends. You can recast this as many times as you want, up to 10 times. Now, here's the deal. Every time you cast it, you could possibly burn yourself too. By the way, this lasts also for 10 turns, the Dazzling Ray. On saves, targets still take half though from that. And damage on that is, by the way, Dazzling Ray is 2d10 radiant damage. Lord Gortash drops this in Act 3, so if you decide to go ball mode on Lord Gortash, you get this fine heavy crossbow. That's about it for endgame gear. Next up is potions, elixirs, and oils. This following section, I'm going to go ahead and suggest what potions, elixirs, and oils you should definitely use in the game. Good idea to get that alchemy going early on, because later on it'll be really useful. Just remember, elixirs, just one elixir effect per character. If you, for example, use the elixir Cloud Giant Strength, and you have the elixir Bloodlust effect there, that elixir Bloodlust effect goes bye-bye thanks to Cloud Giant Strength elixir use. So let's go ahead and start with potions first. Here's some suggestions I'm going to go over for the potions. Healing potions of all types are a must. Just trust me, if you run out of cleric's healing spells slots, same thing with druids as well, these healing potions will save your butt. Potion of Haste, gain an extra action plus 2 AC, advantage on dex saving throws, and double movement speed for a few rounds. After that, you get a negative effect for a few rounds, then it's back to normal. Still, these potions are really OP. You can finish most of the combat that way before the bad effect happens. Potion of Flying, same as the flying spell. Honorable mention, I'm going to go ahead and say Potion of Vaulting, makes you jump higher and such, that's good. And Potion of Fairfall, that is nice as well. Let's move on to elixirs. Now, first up is Elixir of Vigilance, gain plus 5 bonus to initiative, and you cannot beat surprise attack at all. Extremely useful, mainly the surprise attack, but initiative is always nice. In other words, you get moved to the front line in combat. Elixir of the Colossus, increased size, gain straight saving throws advantages, does 1d4 weapon damage extra. Really useful. I use it as sometimes to this way I could jump up there, beat the living crap out of foes that are far away, or runners. Elixirs of Viciousness, increase your chance to land a critical hit. So, for example, if your critical hit's 20, this elixir will drop it by 1, which is 19 to 20. It's stacked with other items like that as well. Elixir of Cloud Giant Strength, your strength is automatically set to 27. Best endgame elixir to have. If you have it, save it for the endgame. Elixir of Bloodlust, upon killing your foe, you get 5 extra hit points and an extra bonus action. I'm going to go ahead and say this right now. That is really useful, especially with the Great Weapon Mastery, and what happens is you get extra attack. This adds another one. Really good to use. Let's move on to oils. Oil accuracy, coat your weapon with this, bonus of +2 in attack rolls. Remember that -5, that gets down, dropped to -3. And if you have that nice ring, yeah, you get yourself +2 attack rolls, which is good. Also, it helps out too. Here's another good oil, Wizard Brain Oil. Target receives a -3 penalty to spell attack rolls and spell save DC. Also have disadvantage on saving throws for maintaining concentration for 2 turns. This will make a wizard's day from going from great to bad in a hurry thanks to this oil. Now, if you have any poisons you could get your hands on as well, use those as a last-ditch effort. That is it for potions, oils, and elixirs. Please stay tuned for the combat demonstration of this build video. In the game early on, you're basically learning all the Oath of Vengeance abilities and attacks, especially smites and, of course, certain spells as well. So you could definitely go ahead and learn all that too. You're also going to learn how to debuff your foes too, and go after runners. So I'm going to demonstrate right now with my Paladin at this very time. Use a Bane spell, also anything else of the matter I could also get away with too. So let's go ahead and take out this Fool first. There, we one-shot that Fool. Now we're going to go ahead and cast a Bane spell. Just remember, you have to get used to all sorts of tactics to kick some serious butt. It might be hard, but once you start mastering the basics, then you'll start ruling the battlefield every time. So let's go ahead and fast forward to Act 3. Let's go ahead and do this combat test in Act 3. So you have all 12 levels at this point, so it's time to combine the two. So I'm going to have Karlach go ahead and use her Frenzy. There you go. I'm going to switch to my main character to buff her up some. Yeah, you definitely want to use your extra action for that against tough bosses. It's not only you doing the damage, but also your party members as well. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's give her a free extra damage and anything else of the matter. She's inspired to kick some serious butt. I'm going to go ahead and use my smite and put it at level 4. Yeah, because of Bard, we get extra level in that instead of 3. And there we go. We already chewing up the Steel Watcher's hit points big time. It's going to hit me, but it's not going to be really effective. There you go. We're out of the way because, yeah, it's about to blow up. So let's go ahead and do this with Karlach. And boom, just a few more hits. Thanks to the Bardic Inspiration, or I say Combat Inspiration, it's about to die. At this point, you already do the victory. Against tough foes, use the combination I use. Otherwise, save your Bardic songs for bosses and tough enemies like this as well. Other than that, though, with this combination, not only you do well in combat, but you can be able to be a nice sweet talker too. And you have extra mods that'll help you on the dice as well too. That's about it for the combat demonstration. Here's some final advice before I do end this build video. So here we go. As the Paladin Oath of Vengeance, start learning the Oath of Vengeance spells and such. Just remember, runners go after them big time, so you kick some serious butt against them. Another thing as well too, definitely learn to use your smites, because you're going to be learning this from 1 to 8 levels. When you get to the Bard level, start learning the Bard spells big time, especially the ones that help you crowd control. You always switch them out when you level up if you don't like the ones you tested. Definitely use the Bard songs, the Bardic Inspirations, in this case Combat Inspirations, on your allies so they could kick some serious booty from here and there. Just remember, teamwork works well, so buff up your allies, crowd control if you need to, especially the hold humanoid, I say hold person, that helps too. And if there's a runner, go after them too. Just don't be afraid of elixirs, potions, and oils, and get the gear I am suggesting. This is it for my Baldur's Gate 3 Paladin Oath of Vengeance and Bard College of Valor build video. This is Lord Fenton signing off. Thanks for watching and have a great day or night, and do please stay safe. Please subscribe to my channel for more classic and modern Dungeons & Dragons walkthroughs, builds, guides, and more just like this. If you like what you see, then go ahead and pick my suggestion on the upper left hand corner, or YouTube suggestion on the bottom left hand corner. I'm going to go ahead and relax in this nice chair.